They shoot people for sport. They gut children so that they have a vessel to bring drugs into this country. That is not human. That is inhuman.
This is Heather Hobbs with The New American, and today I am interviewing Representative Mark Finchem out of Arizona. How are you today, Mark, and what are you doing here?
Well, we're actually on the border at the wall, which has got a, 50-yard gap in it that apparently the Biden administration has seen fit to not build wall, but instead leave it wide open so that people can just literally walk across the border, catch a cab, and go to any place they want to go.
You know, my show really specializes in human trafficking and abortion. And what really I find appalling about these open walls is that it really increases the activity that we've seen in the human trafficking industry. And in turn, it is funding that. What are your feelings regarding abortion and human trafficking right now?
Well, abortion is a scourge on our land. We've had over 60 million babies whose lives have been taken from them. That's an incomprehensible number to me. And while people say, this is the hypocrisy of the whole thing, while people say my body, my choice, at the same time, those same people are saying you have to take the jab, which, by the way, is killing people. So I'm in grief over the children that have had their lives ended. Think about this for a moment. Who was the promising individual whose life was snuffed out before they ever took a breath? Could it have been a Ben Carson? Could it have been you fill in the name of the person who has just made incredible strides in medicine and in literature and in art, and the talented people that God blessed us with who had their lives ripped apart. I'm unapologetically pro-birth.
You know, I always tell people that I am proud to be anti-abortion and proud to be what they allege is a forced birth, because honestly, it is a natural part of the body. It is a natural part of procreation. Every animal in the animal kingdom has procreation, but ours is the only one that goes out of its way to kill its young for selfish reasons. And it's really devastating to me to be able to see what these women and girls go through at our borders. They are forced to have repeat abortions so that they can stay as sex slave workers. We have slavery very active in America right now. And I would love to touch base on your experience, because you've really seen a lot of things with all the different titles that you filled. I'd love to talk about that, because I think you're highly qualified to discuss this topic.
What I saw today triggered PTSD for me. I'm 21 years a DPS officer out of West Michigan. And when I saw a child's shoe, not even the size of my palm, of a child who has been dragged into this country, who we don't know where that child's at, and all the other children who we know have been rescued. You know, my close personal friend and colleague, Christy Hutcherson, has been actively engaged in rescuing kids in the county that I live in Arizona, snatching children away from the cartels, the coyotes who are bringing them into this country for that kind of abuse, and putting them into a circuit for American men to sexually abuse. That is just absolutely disgusting to me. So, as a policymaker myself, I'm about to transition into an executive branch office if I'm elected for Secretary of State in Arizona. We have to see to it that we protect these children.
I find it appalling when I think about not only all the children that never make their way home, but just, as you said, the policies. The policies are encouraging the taking of children. They end up lost. You know, they end up raped, murdered, brutalized. And yet, even though Biden has been made aware, I've confirmed that through many sources, he's been made aware that the 48-hour catch and release if you have a child policy encourages human trafficking. But we're also, because our borders are open, we have people flooding in who are rapists,
right,
and they are coming across the border and raping American children. They are raping American women. I mean, they're probably raping American men and teen boys as well. That is appalling.
This is callous disregard for fact. Callous disregard. And when the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, because he's president, is the head of the Democrat Party, Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, when she said, these are all my children. No, we are talking about individuals who, quite frankly, I think are feral human beings. They do not give a nit about human life. They shoot people for sport. They gut children so that they have a vessel to bring drugs into this country. That is not human. That is inhuman. And for the Democrat Party to support that, the American people need to rise up in a peaceful manner and take control of their government. That means that they have to run for school board. That means that they have to run for town council, for fire district, water district, state legislature. Every single one of the lesser magistrate positions, they've got to get active, because if not, they will not be able to say, I did everything on my watch to prevent this.
Absolutely. And as you know, I'm a field coordinator for the John Birch Society in the state of Texas. And that is one of the main points that I push to our members, is that you need to make sure that you have local elections, that the seats are filled with good people, and that you have a constitutional sheriff, because our founding fathers protected us by setting up a federal government, and then the state level, and then even further down. And we know that the state supersedes the federal government, and the sheriff has the final say. If you don't have a constitutional sheriff,
replace them.
Exactly. Replace them, because otherwise you are putting you and your town at risk. They could come in for your guns, and if your sheriff isn't constitutional, he's not going to stop them.
That's right.
You have to have someone that will fight for you. What are your feelings on that?
I'm absolutely supportive of that. In fact, one of my good friend, Richard Mack, Richard Mack proved his mettle in Prince Mack v. U.S. when he stopped the federal government from commandeering sheriff resources to implement an unconstitutional public policy. That man is an American hero, and very few people know his name. It is time for the American people to pay attention. You can be mad as hell if you want to be, but unless you get off the couch, set the Cheetos down, turn the TV set off, and get involved, that means you show up at a school board meeting. Yes, I know it's tedious and it is not fun, but I will tell you, the men who marched through Valley Forge with nothing but sacks on their feet and bleeding feet, who tromped through the ice to Trenton, crossing the water, aren't they worth just a little bit of your time?
Absolutely. And when you bring this up, it reminds me of when we talk about the Afghanistan pullout through the Biden administration. That was such a spit in the face to all of my military friends who served over there. I personally have one that committed suicide after that incident. And it's the same thing. It's not just the Afghanistan. It's all of those who have served for us and served our country. And when we talk about the unborn, the right to life is the first thing that it says. Right. We've had people die to protect the unborn. People die to protect all Americans, and we need to protect them from conception to natural death, period. No exceptions. So I'm really grateful that you're fighting against abortion, that you're fighting against human trafficking. Where can people find more information about you and what you're doing?
Well, they can find more information about me at votefinchem.com. That's VOTE, F like Frank, IN like Nancy, CHEM.com. I would recommend that if you ever have the opportunity to interview Christy Hutcherson, that you ask her about the show that happened with the withdrawal. That's her field of expertise. She probably is going to have some commentary on that. Great colleague, and I think that the Women Fighting for America, I'm glad to partner with them because they are doing real work. They are doing yeoman's work on standing up for women's rights, from the unborn woman all the way through to the woman who would like to have the right to choose how she medicates herself in her older years, if it's to fight COVID or to relieve pain, whatever that might be. I am fully supportive of the mission of saving lives and promoting life.
Well, we at the New American thank you for inviting us to the Women Fighting for America event. in McAllen, Texas. And we are so grateful for all that you're doing. And we would love to have you again soon. Thank you again.